So here we are at the Undercity ruins. They are known in-game as the Ruins of Nosti. That is their kind of in-game lore name. This is just the entrance. You go inside this big cathedral here. And as we go inside, you can actually see some of the very intense environmental work that our environment artists did. All of this really pretty scaffolding, this broken down look. There's a lot of this kind of ruins feel to much of the structures that are out here in the desert. I'm gonna have to crouch and walk underneath this. And then we are heading down into the ruins. So this is probably the most difficult of the three caves. And as far as I'm concerned, it is probably the most beautiful of them as well. Huge shout out to our level designers who did an enormous amount of work making these things just absolutely breathtaking to explore. The particular theme here is huge crystalline structures and then ruins of kind of an old city that has been built down here, kind of overgrown by the ground as it swept through and kind of took over after the place was abandoned. You can see these light shafts actually that pour through from above. We control these by the day cycle, so as it becomes nighttime these will actually disappear, and as the sun comes up and brightens everything up, the light shafts come back. We've done a lot of little touches like that to try and kind of bring life to these ruins in a way that is connected to the outside world and kind of in a way that we haven't done before. So be a little bit careful. There are going to be creatures in here. These caves are not safe. I'm gonna just burn these guys up with a little bit of flamethrower love. I can also hear a golem coming to life, so if you want to be a little bit careful as we approach here, I'm going to bust out some heavy weaponry. And here he is. That's a golem. So we're going to pop some cluster grenades on this guy. The cluster grenade is one of the new super powerful weapons that we've got. It is essentially a normal grenade that blows up into a bunch of smaller grenades, and there goes the big guy. Just for context. Do we need to get you some more clothes real quick? So the caves are a great place to start loading up on some of the kind of more rare and valuable resources. You can see rocks down here that are, these are obsidian rocks. Whoops, let me get my fire back out real quick here. Obsidian, there are a lot of metal rocks, things like that. There is crystal, kind of more stuff that's designed around building up into the tech tier, the kind of advanced machinery. Scorched Earth comes with a lot of new, more high-end gear. We've kind of shown off like the cluster grenades, and we've shown off the rocket launcher, and we've shown off a lot of the stuff that... Oh, hello, friends. We've shown off a lot of stuff that is kind of built around the end game. We've got the flamethrower, we've got the chainsaw. These are all very, very high damaging weapons that are meant to kind of open up new avenues for players to kind of destroy one another. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is having more power than the other guy. As you can see, the flamethrower absolutely burns away just all sorts of enemies. Great for dealing with large groups of your opponent's dinosaurs. They're great for progressing through kind of more dangerous areas like these caves. The chainsaw is one of the most powerful melee weapons that's available. The rocket launcher, the friggin' homing missiles are the bee's knees. You can target those things from a huge distance away, and they are not really... You can't just walk out of the way of them anymore. And while they're actually, I think, the most expensive piece of ammunition equipment in the whole game right now, the investment obviously is worth it. The cluster grenades, exactly as advertised, it's effectively the power of 7 or 8 grenades all in one single detonatable explosive. They function otherwise just like normal grenades. They bounce, all that kind of stuff. They really change up kind of the PvP landscape and the ability to cause damage to enemy structures, the ability to take down hordes of your opponents. In the late game, you're dealing with very, very large, very, very high hit point creatures. And well, dinosaurs will always kind of be the ideal counter to dinosaurs. We wanted to give players on foot the ability to kind of hold their own against massive swarms of creatures and to fight back against those very, very large targets that previously you really wouldn't see that kind of an opportunity. Rocket launchers were very, very effective, but they were kind of the be-all, end-all, and now there's more tools at the player's disposal for dealing with those large dino armies. We would recommend that anybody who's interested in playing Scorched Earth either make sure that they play it with a friend who does know the game a little bit better, or that they go ahead and play the base game, get a few levels in, that kind of stuff, because of the fact that this content is more difficult, and it does assume that you know how to start out, that you know how to quickly build a shelter, that you know all the different resources that you're going to need and how to get a hold of them. It's a little bit more difficult, definitely, all around. Managing things like your water and the other resources, like the actual food and stuff like that, that you need to stay alive is a difficult task, and it's definitely emphasized in Scorched Earth. Without those kind of abilities, you're going to kind of be left a little bit high and dry. So here we have the kind of the big vista that comes with this particular cave. We have these on all of the caves, kind of a reward for the player getting down to the main chamber. You can see that we've kind of lit up the room over there on the far side to show you where you're headed to. We're going to go ahead and do the little jumping puzzle here now. So watch your step. There is a gap here, and you do have to make these jumps or you do die. We kind of like to incorporate these kinds of actual physical gameplay elements rather than just walk in a line and kill everything in your path, just to kind of break up the monotony of otherwise run, 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 kill, kill, kill. Once we get past the... Hello, missiles. Once we get past that there, head down this way, past some of this, again, just absolutely beautiful environmentals. Huge old chapel kind of taken over by all these massive crystals and stone. I believe there is probably one more golem defending the end of this here. So this here is the artifact room. We have one of these in pretty much all of our caves. They are kind of the reward for the player who has managed to get to the deepest part of the cave. These artifacts are incredibly important. You need all three of them as a tribute to be able to fight the final boss. Generally, we have something very, very pretty or somewhat lore related, something to kind of tell the story of the area in these rooms. You can go ahead and grab that artifact out. And at this point, we would go ahead and exit the cave. One last thing I do want to do with you is take you to show you the boss. Fortunately, I have all the artifacts and stuff like that prepared. And here we go. We are transporting to the boss. Now, normally any dinosaurs, any creatures that you happen to own that are inside this area and are underneath a certain size will get teleported with you to the boss arena. You can see it kind of coming in around us, the canyon kind of forming on the inside of this dome that's encircling us. And then we are teleported to the boss arena. And you can see Mr. Manticore up there on his perch. And now the fight begins. And he is mean and very, very powerful. It's not really possible for us to kill him here, but you're free to take some shots at him until he summons all of his stuff up. So he was built around the idea of a team of between 4 and 6 people, all with pretty much all endgame gear, as well as a group of like probably 4 to 6 absolute max level endgame Rexes. The mileage you get will vary in terms of the other creatures you want to bring with, because on this map especially, endgame Rexes are really, really difficult to get a hold of. So if you come into this fight with anything that isn't that much power, you're going to have a harder time. For beating the Manticore, you get obviously those skin items that you've seen, the shield, you can get the helmet, you can get the trophy, like the head trophy that you saw, you get the flag, and at the moment you also get the prestige of having beaten him. Later on there will be other rewards that you get for beating all of the bosses. Currently there are just placeholders in, which are those kind of flags that you get. Those placeholders are there just until we have kind of the endgame loop in, because beating the bosses will be required for kind of that final endgame loop, getting access to all of the super rare items that are part of tech tier. Like the bosses are going to be very, very important in all of that. You can see on the outside here, we have these really, really pretty flags. These flags are the new boss flag that you get for defeating the Manticore boss. He is the new boss that comes with Scorched Earth. If you manage to defeat all of the caves, get the artifacts from inside, and conquer the boss. We've got his head mounted on the wall right here. This is also a trophy that you can get from defeating him. We actually created kind of a bunch of different kinds of trophies that are available to players who defeat the Manticore, not just these like cosmetic items, but also a number of skins that you can get for helmets and shields. Oh, thanks so much for sitting down and talking with me about Scorched Earth and all of the cool new content that's available. You can pick it up now on the Steam store, $20. It's a ton of new content, ton of cool stuff to see. Go pick it up, try it out. It's really, really awesome.